Welcome to Those Fucking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy, book, TV, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today marks our 100th episode of Those Fucking Fangirls, which is cray-cray. And to celebrate with us, we have special guest, Kat O'Keefe, a.k.a. Katytastic. Yay. Hello, Kat.
Hello. I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we're excited to dive into Booktube, a history today. We're going to be taking a nostalgic look back at where we began and how it's affected us up to this time. Kat, can you take a second to introduce yourself and talk a little about what you do and your favorite fandoms and all that shit for anyone who might not know you? Hit us.
Sure. People may have forgotten me. It's been so long since I've been on the internet. Hi, my name is Kat. I run the channel Katytastic or Katytastic. I started back in 2011 making writing vlogs for NaNoWriMo. And from there, it just evolved into Booktube. Someone in my comments one day was like, do a book haul. And I was like, what's a book haul? And then I did one, and I found the Booktube community. I don't really post much anymore, but I'm working on a comeback. I know I get messages all the time about like when I'm going to come back to YouTube if I'm gone forever. I'm working on one. There have been some extenuating circumstances that have stopped me from. I was supposed to come back earlier this month, but I'm working on it. I plan on coming back before the end of the year. So maybe by the time this episode is up. When is this episode going up?
Next
week.
Friday.
Oh,
so
that's
Thanksgiving week.
I'll try.
If not, you can keep your eyes peeled on Katytastic.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/Katytastic. And yeah, you've been hermiting from the socials for a long time. Can you give us like an insider of peek of what you've been working on? Is there anything you could share?
I haven't been doing things for, publicly, but of course I have still been writing. That's something that I will never stop doing. Like, even if I take a short break from pursuing publication from that angle of it, like writing is something that I'm always going to do. I love stories. I love storytelling. That's another reason why I'm still so into fandom at my age. Like, it's just, my life is like categorized by which fandom I'm into at the time. The current fandom, there's a couple that I'm really into. They're anime, so I don't know how much you two will like be familiar with them.
I can try.
My Hero Academia, it's a really popular anime and fandom. And Jujutsu Kaisen, JJK. Both
Oh yeah. Alex is big into both.
I could talk about them endlessly right now, but I'll hold back. I have a video plan talking about JJK because I have a lot of big feelings about that anime. It's like somehow there are elements of it that are like pretty mediocre, actually, but there are also elements of it that I'm like obsessed with to a feral degree.
But you have been working on writing stuff. I guess you don't want to talk about it publicly.
Not yet. Save it for the comeback.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to do a quick catch up with Kat lightning round. Okay. So everyone feels like they know her a little better going into our discussion. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's your go-to meal for dinner?
I love a good veggie burger.
Still.
Oh.
it's either going to be like pasta or veggie burger.
Wait, are you still vegan?
I don't use that word anymore because people on the internet got really policey about it. No, it was like, I remember, Natasha, you got me this really cute little avocado backpack for one Christmas. And I remember there was a comment on it that was like, so you have a bag that's leather now? Like, it's not like, like, that was like coming at me for that.
My.
And I just wanted to be like,
That bag was not leather.
It was, first of all, it's not real leather. Second of all, like, you saw a clip of it in a Christmas vlog where it was a gift. Like, what do you expect me to do? Like, be like, sorry, Natasha, I can't accept this present.
I can't have this.
Because it might be leather. So things like that just made me steer away from the V word.
Got it.
But I do eat mostly plant-based. Like I'm not strictly vegan, but I'm not a fan of dairy and meat so much.
Yeah, I remember that. Laura says herbivore.
That works, sure.
Okay, favorite month of the year.
Oh, September.
Oh, nice. Fall. Favorite city?
Oh, that's really difficult. Maybe
Is it?
it is because like I love my chill California town, but I also love New York, which is like the exact opposite.
If you could go to space, would you?
My answer is this has changed, I think. I used to say yes, I would.
You did?
Because it would be, because I'm done with Earth. I've seen Earth. It would be a new fun experience. And now my answer is still yes, but only if I was like 60 years old. Like,
60.
it would be like when I'm old and I'm like really done with Earth.
You're not that old at 60.
No, but like I'm still young enough to be able to handle a space adventure, but
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not like, you know.
What was it in like pop culture that just said that they're suspicious of anyone who? Oh, Olivia Rodrigo said she's
Yeah,
not going to date anybody
Who says they want to go to
says that
space.
They're going to go to space, and I feel similarly.
I mean, it's a good metric, I feel,
Yeah.
to eliminate a certain type of person from the dating pool.
I did go on a date with somebody that I asked that question, and he said yes, and I was like, oh,
Ugh, red flag.
I would not.
So you're gonna leave me.
All right. Song that you know all the words to.
Any Taylor Swift song from the last 5 years.
If you were a color, what color would you be?
Ooh, probably like a navy blue or like a gray blue color.
Gray blue. Okay.
Well, because my eyes are like gray blue.
Yeah, that's the eye color. Would you rather name your firstborn child Billy Bob Barty Crouch Jr. and you always have to say their full name, but you gain the ability to shapeshift and fly? Or name your firstborn child Pickle Juice Dirtface and be able to tell anyone whose name starts with the letter S what to do and they compulsively obey?
Ooh. What if I don't have a firstborn child?
You have to have a firstborn
In this
child
situation,
for this to
you do.
work.
I guess Billy Bob Barty Crouch Jr. Because I think having the ability to shapeshift and fly would be worth it. Like shapeshift would do it. I don't want to call my kid Dirtface. And also, it's pretty limiting that only
It's
people whose
pickle
name
juice.
starts with an S has to compulsively obey. Like if there were more letters, I don't know that many people whose names start with an S. Like that's much more
There's
limited.
tons of Sarahs out there. Selena Gomez could be your, like, the face of you.
What about a last name? Swift?
Okay, but if I can shapeshift and fly, I feel like that opens up a lot more possibilities for me. Because I can shapeshift into anyone. Right? Can I? Yeah?
I don't know if I was thinking polyjuice shapeshift, but
I'm thinking like
guess-
metamorphic. More...
I guess so. I was thinking more like wolves and birds and
Oh, like shapeshift into animals?
yeah.
Well, you didn't say that in the
I
first.
didn't specify, so.
I'm interpreting it how I want.
Well, that was a little inside look into Cat. Now we're gonna roll on in to Snap, Crackle, Pop Culture News. All right, y'all. Our big news today, to go along with our 100th episode, is our merch is live. Take a look. Those Working Fangirls merch. We have t-shirts that say Those Working Fangirls with like friendship bracelets in theme with Taylor Swift. We have it in pink and purple. Natasha and I are both modeling it right now if you want to see it on the
I
live
have to
stream.
say, the purple is a Comfort Colors t-shirt, and that is my favorite type of t-shirt to wear, which is why we have it in purple, because it's not in pink in Comfort Color. I don't like the pink in Comfort Colors.
But I'm wearing it in pink, which is not comfort colors, and it is also very cute.
Very cute.
And I said you could see it on the live stream, and what I meant was that you could see it on youtube.com/@thoseforkingfangirls, where you can watch the video version of the show. Do you want to kick us off with the first news that you have, Natasha?
Mine's not really great. I mean, it's okay, fine. Shaun White and Nina Dobrev got engaged.
I saw that.
Yeah.
They've been together for a long time.
Very
and
long
supposedly
time.
he's asked her a couple times and she hasn't been ready.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
heard.
Wow.
But she's
Yeah.
ready now.
That was my only news that I added. I do have a little tag onto the Yellowjackets thing.
Bouncing off of that Yellowjackets mention, Yellowjackets season 3 was announced that it's going to premiere on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025, which is like fairly soon. Very exciting.
I have to say the stupid thing that Alex showed me. Okay, so you know how Yellowjackets is kind of based on the soccer team plane that crashed in the Andes. There's another movie called Eden that was also based on this like plane crash kind of ordeal, and this movie and production company is suing Yellowjackets for plagiarism. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, even though they're both based off of a
on the
real
same
story.
life event?
I don't think you can do that.
I don't know, but yeah, no, it's yeah, they just filed it like this week or something.
It
That's
feels like
wild.
that's something you do more for attention than actually win. Like they're trying to
Exactly.
get some kind of settlement or just attention. Because like if they're both based off of a real thing
true
that happened,
event.
yeah, you can't claim like copyright over those plot points or those event points.
Yeah. In other news, Good Girls Guide to Murder was just announced that they're getting a season 2, and Holly Jackson is writing it, who is the author of the series, which is so cool. So kudos to
I
her.
forgot about it.
Yeah, you haven't watched it. It's a BBC show, but it's on Netflix, and it's really great. The book series is excellent. The audiobooks are so good. Highly recommend. Also, Sabrina Carpenter has a Nonsense Christmas special coming. It drops December 6th, and she's got like a lot of fun guests, like Chapel Roan's going to be on, and other people that I've already forgotten. Are you guys going to watch this?
Yes.
I am.
All right, cool. I don't know if I will, but maybe.
I love things like that. Like I don't watch a lot of movies these days, but I have a soft spot for musicals and concert recordings and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like watch Christmas specials like that usually.
I liked the Casey Musgraves one. That was cute.
See, I didn't watch that because I don't watch these things. I just don't like watching singing. I have a hard time like watching singing on TV, like not live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. I love that.
Unless it's like in Glee or like in a scripted.
I like a recorded like
Art.
Broadway show.
See, I don't like it as much. There's something you just don't have like the adrenaline that you have in real life when you're watching a Broadway show. But maybe I'll watch it. I love Sabrina, so we'll see. Okay, the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon, the movie dropped. We talked about this last week that we thought it was going to drop in front of Wicked. It's already dropped online. Did you guys watch it?
Yes, it's very short.
It looks just like the cartoon.
I haven't watched the trailer itself, but I saw like some clips and like people comparing it to the cartoon. I mean, I want to watch it because I loved How to Train Your Dragon,
yeah.
but I don't understand, like, what's the point of the live action in this case?
It's literally just to get a new generation excited about How to Train Your Dragon.
I can
right?
see that.
I wish that it wasn't exactly like the animated.
That's what I feel about every Disney adaptation too.
Well, I mean, I feel like Cinderella was marginally different than the live action, and Beauty and the Beast was like a little, like they added some stuff to it. Hiccup, is that the dragon's name?
Yeah,
What's the
Hiccup.
dragon's name?
No. Hiccup is the kid.
Guy.
The
Toothless.
dragon is
Toothless.
toothless. Yeah, he's so cute.
He's so cute.
tearing up.
He looks just like his animated version. Like
Well,
I kind of wanted it.
him to.
Well, I didn't
You
really.
wanted
I
him
wanted
to be
him.
scary.
I want him to look a little bit more like he could actually exist.
Not
You know?
as cartoony. Like if you're
want-
stepping away from the animation, You need to
He
step
could
away from
look
the animation.
like that. That's what my dog looks like.
No, he could be. He's a little too smooth. Like he needs like some of that like reptilian type of skin.
But he's got like leathery skin, I think.
He's a little too pretty.
Yeah,
Guys, I want him to be pretty. I was like, oh, my baby.
I mean, I suppose I would take too pretty rather than too ugly. Like, do you guys remember the old Sonic before the internet bullied them into making Sonic better?
I do remember.
So, like, I'd rather take too pretty than, like, something horrifying like original Sonic. But
Guys, I got high hopes for this movie. I think it's going to be good. I'm excited. All right. Wicked debuted at 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is fantastic. And it had a 99% audience rating, which is awesome.
Wow.
And there's like actual specified sing-along screenings so that people don't sing in the regular screenings and upset people.
So many
starting
TikToks.
December 25th.
So many TikToks being like, the musical theater kids are coming out to play. Be aware.
All right. Also, J.J. Abrams has a new film that he's started working on casting, and Emma Mackey, who is Maeve from Sex Education, and she was also in the Barbie movie and stuff, has been cast as the female lead in his next film, alongside of Glenn Powell and Jenna Ortega. So that's a cool cast. Yeah. And the film's untitled, and the description's being kept in a mystery box. No surprise when it comes to J.J. Abrams. So I'm sure it's going to be like an interesting concept. So I'm excited to hear more about that. And
It's still so baffling that J.J. Abrams is Gracie Abrams' father.
why is it baffling?
It just is.
I've known about it for a very long time, so I've already.
Natasha, I was just about to type that.
I've known about it as long as I've known them. Like, that was one of the first pieces of information I got. So I was like, oh, yeah.
See, some people didn't know. Caitlin didn't know.
Yeah, well, if you're not a big J.J. Abrams fan like me, apparently, Kat. But as soon as I heard, remember when Olivia Rodrigo just started getting a lot of attention and she constantly felt the need to be like, guys, I was really inspired by Gracie Abrams. At that point, I knew that Gracie Abrams was J.J. Abrams' daughter. And I was like, oh, she's so cute trying to get, she feels guilty because she was so inspired by her and she's blowing up and Gracie Abrams hasn't yet. But now she's having her time and she's fantastic. But I've heard JJ talk about her too, like how she's so talented and stuff. And he doesn't want her to be like his daughter.
I mean,
known
I'm glad
as his daughter.
Yeah, I mean, she's had the privilege of being a Nepo baby, but she is talented, and
She's very
it is coming to light now. But she's had the ease of being able to let that light show because the fact that she is his daughter.
Right.
Yeah, but nobody like blows up off of that. Sort
Definitely
of a thing.
not. But
Yeah.
you can't get a recording. You can't.
Yeah, but
it's
she did,
expensive,
she did have that, but also like she's blowing up off of her own talent now. All right, and then the last bit of news is that Attached at the Hip makes a great Christmas gift, and it's the Christmas season. If you don't know what Attached at the Hip is, it's a book. It's a survivor rom-com with a romantic, well, not a survivor. It's a survivor spinoff with a romantic slant, and it's a rom-com. And I wrote it. I'm an author, and if you haven't known that yet, the link to my books are in the show notes. And this is my favorite book, Child, and it's really fun. And if you have read it and enjoyed it, it's really, really helpful for me as an author person if you reviewed it on whatever platform you digested it on. So if you got it from Amazon, you can review it there, or Barnes & Noble, you can review it there. It's very, very helpful to me for you to review it because it pushes it to new readers that way. That's how the algorithms on those sites work. So thank you very much if you took in the second to do that.
Is this really your favorite book, Child? You have a favorite child?
I know.
Is this just recency bias where it's like it's the most recent one? So
I mean, there's only 3. I mean, it's like, again, but better. It'll always be my firstborn, but like I had the most fun writing attached at the hip. So,
It's younger sibling privilege.
yeah. I guess so. I mean, I had fun writing I Am But Better
And
too.
Poor Better Together is the middle child.
Four Better Together is a classic middle child. So I love that. I love Better Together too, but it was my struggle bus child during the pandemic.
Laura says,
All right.
tie yourself to your crush and read it together this holiday season.
Oh my God. That is a great idea, Laura. Oh, Chris says I want to get it for my Christmas book exchange with my friends. Oh my gosh, thank you. That's a great idea. Told my boyfriend we were going to tie ourselves together and see if we survive my three. Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you guys for all those little tidbits. That's so fun. All right. We're going to roll into what right now. Okay. What are we reading right now? Natasha, you want to kick us off?
I think Kat should kick us off.
Kat, you want to kick us off?
I can kick us off. I'm not actually currently reading because my reading habit, I tend to pick up a book and binge it in 8 hours. So like,
What was the
it's
last
hard.
thing you read?
It's hard to catch me currently reading. But my next read, the one that I'm going to read next, is Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell.
Woo!
Christine convinced me to read it. I was a little bit iffy because I love Rainbow Rowell. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. But I'm not a big fan of like relationship in trouble and second chance romance kind of tropes. Like I don't hate them, but they're not my favorite. So I was a
But
little
it's
bit
not
like
relationship in trouble at all.
I know I've heard that now, but I also there was a blurb by Lee Bardugo, I think, who was like Rainbow Rowell will break your heart or something, and I was like,
wonder
I don't want
if
my
she
heart
didn't
broken.
actually finish or read this book and just was blurbing it for her. Because I was like, I don't understand what she means by that.
Christine felt very safe when she was reading it.
I did. I felt so safe
That's what
reading
Christine
it.
said that convinced me to give it a shot. Because I was like, I have too much anxiety in general. Like that's why I read a lot of fanfic primarily, is because there's like a comfort in the familiar.
Yeah.
And also I don't have a lot of expectations when I start a new fanfic because like it could be terrible or it could be the best thing ever. Like you don't know. It's
The wild, wild west.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what it
exactly.
is, baby.
like even things that have like a lot of kudos or comments or that are like numerically popular, not necessarily good. And yeah, so I was a little bit wary about Slow Dance, but Christine emphasized like she felt safe while reading it. So I was like, okay, I'm on it.
Yeah, and I was so confused when you said like the tropes you thought it was, and I was like, wait, where are you getting this?
Twitter and just blurbs like
They're wrong.
good to know.
I've been reading The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer every night, and she wrote The Wishing Game, which I read earlier this year and absolutely loved. I'm enjoying it and having fun. I'm not loving it as much as The Wishing Game because the narrator of the audiobook is not good.
Tragic.
The boy voices keep changing and they're not like, it's just not capturing the humor that's on the page, because I'll be reading it with my eyes and enjoying it, and then I'll have to switch because I'm like taking on my makeup or something and I don't want to stop reading, but it's just not capturing the story the same way that I'm reading it on the page. Especially there's like really cute little inserts from like, this is your storyteller talking, and like it's kind of dry and fun in my head when I'm reading it, but when it's in the audiobook, it's like, this is your storyteller, and I'm just like, it's not working like that. I'm enjoying it, and I think I enjoy it much more when I'm reading it with my eyeballs, but I'm still reading it on the audiobook because I don't want to never finish it. I will never finish if I just do my eyeball.
I'm still reading Immortal Dark, and I also found that I don't really like the narrator. Yeah, and I'm getting very confused on like different characters' names, and I just need to read it with my eyes, and I feel like it's because it's good. It's really good. It's
I just bought that one because I heard a lot about it, and it's like dark academia with vampires. I'm in.
Yeah, no, it totally is. And it's like I was told it was going to be like Ninth House-ish. It kind of is, but like definitely not. But I'm excited. I mean, I've been really liking it. I'm almost done. I'm like 3/4 of the way through. I just need to. I just don't really like the audio girly.
Yeah. It's so sad when you don't like the audio, because that really helps you get through a book in a timely manner as an adult human doing other things.
Yeah, and it can like make or break it as well, because it gets tied into the reading experience.
Yeah.
So like no matter how good the story is, if the narrator isn't doing it for you, then
if they're interpreting it like incorrectly,
Yeah.
it's the worst. If the audiobook narrator is doing an unattractive dude voice, it ruins the story. And the dude voice keeps changing. There's 2 dudes and 1 girl. And like, I just, it keeps being different every time they talk. I'm like, what's happening?
I agree.
Should we move to TV? Did we do all the books? We did. What are you watching? Kat, you're watching the show that you were talking about in the beginning?
yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not currently watching it because I recently finished. It's
Binged.
only up to season 2 right now, but I'm
Did you
really excited
read-
for season 3. I read the whole manga. Yes.
Okay. Alex did too, and he told me the whole thing.
Yeah. So I really like it. I think season 2 is like a storytelling genius. Like, it's one of the best seasons of anime of all time. But I think that season 1 is more of a slow start because, well, there's a lot of really interesting pieces. Like, the characters are cool. The world is really cool. Like, there's a lot of interesting setup. There's not a really strong, like, emotional relationship component until we get to season 2 and, like, the characters start getting more backstory and more relationships between them. Specifically, there's one central relationship that I think is so compelling and so interesting. So like season 2, since we have all this groundwork and we can just like play with it all, it's a really great season. It's also animated beautifully. It's from the same studio that did Yuri on Ice. And like there's a lot of fight scenes because it's a shonen anime, a shonen manga where like their target audience is like teenage boys. So, you know, it's not like a romantic kind of anime at all. It has a lot of fight scenes, but they're animated really wonderfully. And yeah, season 2 is just amazing.
Alex is trying to get me to watch Demon Slayer. Have you watched that?
I have not, but it is on my list of shows to watch.
He's
Demon
like,
Slayer.
he tries to make me watch all of these animes, and like I sit there and I watch them. Not JJK, I didn't watch that, but like he made me watch Berserk. And
Okay, he's making you watch all the boy animes. I can give you some shoujo recommendations.
He's a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they're good stories, but Natasha, I think you would prefer a more like romantic centric kind of anime.
I love Spy Family. That's my favorite thing
Spy
ever.
Family is so good.
Love Spy Family.
I think you would like Kami-sama Kiss. Kami-sama Kiss is a good one.
Yeah, and then what else? Oh, he really wants me to watch. What's the one with like the big people and like they take over the
Oh
city?
my god, Attack on Titan.
He fucking can't. He's like you need.
Boys love that one.
I don't understand why people love that so much.
Listen, Attack on Titan is great, but it's along the lines of like a high adrenaline kind of thing. Like, do you remember The Call by Pater O'Gillen?
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like it's so stressful.
It's dark.
And,
I don't
it's
like
really
it.
intense and dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, Natasha, watch Kami-sama Kiss. I think you'll like that one. It's really funny and cute.
Okay. Yeah. He's just. I can't with him.
I've been watching Shrinking and I'm loving it. I'm having so much fun on every break of eating, watching Shrinking with, oh my God, Marshall from How I Met Your Mother, Jason Segel, and Han Solo,
Harrison Ford.
and the girl who plays the principal of the American school in
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts 3. I don't know anyone's name. But it's so sweet and so heartwarming and also really like moving, and I love it. And it's about this therapist, Jason Segel, and he lost his wife about a year ago, and he's been going through a rough time. Like, he's not been doing well. and he works with these two other therapists, and one is Harrison Ford, and one is the principal of the American School from Fantastic Beasts 3. She's so fun. I love her character. They all three work together, and Jason Segel is finally starting to get his shit together, and he's like getting really involved in his patients' lives as he's getting his shit together. So he's not actually back to being like a proper therapist. He's like tells one of his patients if she doesn't leave her douche husband, he has to stop being her therapist. And so she's like, okay. And then like she leaves and he's like, I'm sorry. But like a couple days later, she leaves him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is working. And like he takes he has a young vet who's got a lot of like PTSD and from, being in the army, and he keeps like, if someone bumps him on the street, he just like kind of blacks out and starts like attacking them. And so he takes him to like fight at like one of those places where they fight in a ring. Boxing place. And he's just like getting too involved, and Harrison Ford is like his mentor, and he's like, you have to fucking stop.
He's gonna lose his license.
Yeah.
It's really, I love the relationship between all the three therapists. They're all like really close and like help each other out all the time, and it's nice. And the daughter and everything.
I love the daughter. I watched the first season. I need to watch the second season.
Yeah. And the second season just started, so.
I know. Okay, I started Dune Prophecy, which is the prequel show that's on Max to the Dune movies. And it's set 10,000 years before Dune starts. So it's like really in the past, but it's about the Bene Gesserits, and we get to learn more and how they started their group of people, their religion, whatever it is, the group of witches. And so far I'm liking it. Although the vibes, like, it's definitely not Dune, that's for sure. It's giving like a Sarah J. Maas book. Like,
oh, what?
Yeah, like we've got like young people that we're following, and then we got like old people that we're following. Not old, but like, middle-aged.
That makes me much more interested in it because I don't love Dune vibes.
Yeah, and they're like this girl has to go. One of the princesses has to go into like this school to like learn the Bene Gesserits, and then like they have to marry off one of the Bene Gesserits to like a prince. And so it's got like sexy vibes like all through it. It was definitely giving like I wouldn't say like as good as a Sarah J. Maas, but more of like a fantastical like sexy show.
Compare it to like the Witcher episodes that are about Yennefer, because that gave me Sarah J. Maas, and I loved it.
Very much The Witcher in that regard. I've also been still binging the Great British Baking Show. It is my comfort show now. I'm going backwards, so I started with the newest season. I'm going backwards. I started with the newest season, and I did last year's season, and now I'm on 2022. And
how far back does it go? Like 2016, 2015?
Well, they have, so there's the channel, so it used to be on the BBC with Mary Berry.
Now it's on Channel 4.
And now it's on Channel 4, and I think there's only, it's like season 5 to 12. So I think there's 7 years on Netflix right now.
Nice.
And then there's all like the little spin-offs. I was watching like the Christmas one while I was baking yesterday.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a little tidbit about shrinking I just wanted to share. You know Brett Goldstein? I think he plays Roy on Ted Lasso.
Yes.
He is one of the producers on Shrinking. And I think it does give me those same like Ted Lasso vibes where like believe and like togetherness. I love that.
It does. What were you baking, Natasha? Laura asked. I was baking pumpkin chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, are you baking stuff from
No.
the show? Okay.
Oh, wait, I do have to say, I started watching, my neighbor told me, she's like, oh, have you seen the Harry Potter like wizarding baking one on Max? And I was like, oh no, I love like the vibes of Harry Potter for Christmas time. So I put that on, and It's all like very professional bakers, and it's not good. Like the reason why I like the Great
I've
British,
never even heard of it.
yeah, the reason why I like the Great British Baking Show is that because these are like people like us, like they've just been baking in their home kitchens, and like they're doing these crazy bakes, and it's like amazing to see what they do, and the competition like for the wizard one, it's just like they're all so good, and so they're like if a flavor is just like minutely off, they don't get to move on to the next stage. I was like, this is stupid. This all looks incredible. I couldn't watch it.
Well, that's why I like nailed it, because they had to do these crazy things, but they were all just like barely bakers.
Yes.
It's struggle bus.
It's the relatability factor. It's the like, I could do that. Like I could
Exactly.
I could do that kind of thing, where when you're watching like the super professionals, there's just too much distance in like what they're doing.
We're gonna wrap this up real quick with movies. Natasha, do you want to start? Do you want to talk about Bridesmaids and how you didn't like it?
Yep. So I watched Bridesmaids. I watched Bridesmaids for the first time, and I have been putting it off because I knew I wasn't gonna like it.
I watched it again and loved it again.
You know what? I know Christine loves it. I feel a little bit vindicated because Alex also agrees with me. I think it's too vulgar for me. Not in the sense of like language or anything like that, or sex. I just think in like the throwing up, the pooping, like all of that. I didn't find that funny at all.
That scene was still so funny.
No.
I think that's funnier with also a group, like in the theater, like the shock factor of seeing women shitting themselves and throwing up on each other. Like you just don't see that ever.
Because we don't want to see it.
I mean, like in a white bridal shot, it was just so funny because like it was so unexpected, and I was with a group watching it again, and we were all laughing.
I'm just going to say, I'm kind of in the middle of you guys. Like, I see where Natasha's coming from, where, like, it wouldn't be everyone's thing. But I personally loved Bridesmaids. I thought it was really fun and really funny. And I do think there was an appeal in that vulgarness of, like, you don't see women doing this.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a raunchy comedy for women. And, like, so many of those
I don't like watching that normally with comedies, like those male comedies that are wrong. I fucking hate all those. I don't think, but like the dialogue during it is also so funny. Laura said, like, it's coming out of me like lava, and like they're all like, no, 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 no. And the bridal lady is like, get out.
I like the vulgarness. I think it was, although that was frustrating. I mean, I didn't love that. The most frustrating part of it was the annoyingness of some of these characters and just the repetitiveness of like it. Sometimes it just went a little bit too much. Like it went too far for me. I
feel like if you had watched this when it came out, when it was a new movie, then that might change a little bit just because of the novelty of it.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing like the pooping scene and I was like, eh.
Well, you can't see the pooping scene without watching the movie. Like it doesn't work without that. Because the character that Melissa McCarthy's character is so fucking funny in that movie, and it really builds off of like what you know about her from the other scenes, like into that scene. And so is like the little Disney girl, and like that was the first Disney adult I had ever seen in a movie in anything. Like that was the beginning of Disney adult. I didn't realize that was a thing. Kimmy Schmidt plays the Disney adult in that movie.
Oh,
yeah. You didn't clock her? How?
She's supposed to be a Disney adult?
How did you... That's all she talks about.
Oh.
She's definitely a Disney adult. It was the first time I'd seen that in a movie in 2011. And I had like... I was just beginning to meet Disney adults because I had my roommate was also a Disney adult. I enjoyed it. I feel like I was really relating in like a sad way to the main character. Now that I'm in my 30s and single and everyone's getting married around me.
I definitely related to her too.
At that time, John Hamm, we had not seen him do comedy. He was this really serious ad guy from Mad Men. And it was so funny seeing him be funny. like be this like dickhead.
I don't really watch movies. I'm not a big movie person because I like shows that have a lot of episodes that you can really sink your teeth into the story. And that's one reason why I love fanfic so much, is because I get to continue to live in these really rich worlds. But I am very hyped for Wicked. Like I said before, I love a good musical. And from what I've seen of Wicked so far, like aside from it being not as like colorful as I would like it to be, it looks really good. So I'm excited for that.
Wow, it looks so colorful to me.
Wicked looks so colorful?
Well, it's just so pink and green. It's so bright.
I think you're thinking of all the advertisements you've been seeing that are like the pink and green colors.
I think
the actual clips we've seen, it feels more like desaturated.
Yeah, I haven't been watching any clips, so. All right. So we are going to get into our main discussion now, Booktube history. But before that, we're going to take a quick second to thank everybody out there listening. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast community. We appreciate you endlessly. If you're not already, we'd love it if you followed the podcast for free in your favorite podcast listening app so you never miss an episode, whether that be Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's easy to just click the follow button. And if you like the visual version of the show on YouTube, youtube.com/@thoseforkingfangirls, you can click the subscribe button for free and you'll be notified whenever there's a new episode over there. And if you don't know, we have a Patreon. We are supported by listeners like you. That's why we're able to do this podcast. And we have lots of fun perks over there. At our Team Jacob level, which is the $5 a month level, you get the show ad-free. You get to come to the recordings and be in the chat and be a part of the conversation. You get our half an hour extra show, Fangirl Tea Time, where we tell more stories about stuff going on in our personal lives. It's super fun. It feels like a super tight-knit community because we really get to know all of our patrons. And we love it over there. So if you want to become part of our Patreon family, the link is in the show notes. It's patreon.com/thoseworkingfangirls. You can get a free 7-day trial. Try it out. See if you like it before you commit. If you want to commit month to month, that's cool. If you want to commit for annually, you get a discount, 16% discount, which is awesome. It's about a month and a half for free. So yeah, we have 2 other tiers as well. Lots of fun perks. You can check that out in the show notes. All right. If you are a patron, we're rolling right on what?
All right.
All right. If you're a patron, we're going to roll right on into the main discussion. If not, we will be right back after these messages. And we're back. All right, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about Booktube, a history. And you know what? A lot of people don't know about Booktube anymore. Like, they don't even know what Booktube is. They think that books started with Book Talk because it's become such a less niche community. And that no one understands when I say the word Book Talk anymore, like BOOKTALK. It's people, Olivia.
Kids these days don't know their history.
I know. Olivia texted me a couple of days ago, and she was like, my coworkers want me to read this book called Fourth Wing. And I'm just like, oh, Olivia. Like, and then she bought a slew of books that weren't Fourth Wing without asking me. And she's like, I just bought these books. And I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you come to me if you were looking for books to read? I saw them on TikTok. Like, okay. Anyway, so Booktube history. So before there was Booktube, it's important to note that there were book blogs. And that was the first time books were on the internet as a community.
I had a blog back in the day.
Kat had a blog. What was your blog called?
It was just my name. It was like Katytastic.com. But I called it Words, Etc.
Oh, words, like etc.
Words, etc. Like words.
How often did you post on your blog?
Oh, a couple times a week. It was pretty...
You're active.
Yeah, it wasn't like a book review blog as much. Like I did talk about books that I was reading and that I liked occasionally, but mostly it was about my own writing journey. It was very similar to what I brought over to YouTube. Because there was a whole like blogging community of aspiring authors who would like comment on each other's posts and like exchange work and become critique partners. Talk about like navigating the publishing world in those early days, because self-publishing wasn't really a thing back then. Like, it was possible, but it wasn't the state of it now.
Yeah, TikTok has really enabled self-publishing to grow in an entirely new way.
I mean, technically, I started like blogging too, because I started in like the fan site community, and I like made my own sites too. They're more like news sites, but I would talk about like the books I was reading too.
My blog was my Tumblr. I used to write, like, when I first got Tumblr, I wrote like blog posts about like what I was doing abroad on there. But so Booktube began back in like around 2010, and that's when it started to gain traction. And some of the first booktubers that we didn't use that name, people who were talking about books on the internet that I stumbled across were Elizzy Books and Cass J. Tuck. And this was after I was like, I want to talk about what I'm reading because I don't have any friends that read. And I started posting book talks, TALK, on my Poland Bananas 20 channel. And so I started searching for people who were talking about books, and I ran into Elizzy Books, and then I saw her at VidCon, and I was like, oh my God, you do the same thing I do.
What year was that?
2010. 2011 was when I saw her, but 2010 was when I first saw her online, you know? But I saw her at 2011 VidCon.
Oh my God, that's so long ago.
Yeah.
You know what brought me into the booktube, pre-booktube sphere on YouTube was actually the Vlogbrothers.
Oh!
Which, even though they don't make like specifically bookish content, but John Green was an author, and so he would occasionally post videos about, back in 2009, about being an author. And that's how I discovered, like, oh, there are people talking about bookish things on YouTube, not just blogs. And so, like, that's what kind of brought me into YouTube as, like, a place to regularly be for book-related content.
I started the Poland Bananas Books channel in June of 2010, and I think I wrote down when Tiernan started, like, his channel, The Booktuber. I feel like it was in 2011. Yes.
And he's the one, as far as we know, who coined that term.
The phrase,
that was the first usage of the word booktuber.
Of the booktuber. Yeah. But before we move on from 2010, let's talk about a little bit about like the popular books at that time. Like, I came on there being like, you want to read something after you finish Twilight, you want to read something non-boring? Let me help you. And like the Hunger Games and the Maze Runner and the Mortal Instruments were like the beginning of the Mortal Instruments, like City of Glass on.
Back when it was still a trilogy and it hadn't even been expanded yet.
Yeah. Well, 2010 is when they announced that it was going to be expanded. And that's when the first Infernal Devices came out, Clockwork Angel, I think, at the end of 2010.
Really?
Yeah, because I did a book talk for it. Yeah. It was before I went to England. It was it was crazy.
I thought it was like 2012.
No, 2012 was like when we were getting the second Prince.
That might be it. I didn't get into I didn't read the series until all three books were out or almost out.
The end of 2011, I think Prince came out. And then in 2013 was Clockwork Princess. That was the very beginning. It was mostly reviews back then. I didn't like even stumble across like book hauls and TBRs yet. Then we rolled into 2011. We had Vampire Academy. That was also in 2010. And then that's when Cat came into the picture, right?
I started my channel in October 2011. I started posting videos in October 2011 because I was doing NaNoWriMo, and I was like, instead of blogging every day, like doing a daily blogging update, I'll do a vlog. I'll video log it. My early videos are very cringy, mostly due to the quality.
The rage.
They were. But like I had like this shitty camera and audio system where like
we were using the web cameras, weren't we? Like I was just a camera in my laptop.
I had a little handheld camera because
did.
This was before I got into Apple computer, so I only had a Windows desktop.
Oh my goodness.
Ew.
And like this dinky little like handheld camcorder that I used.
I had a camcorder too. Like there was a tape in it, but like I only used that for like my music videos. When I was like vlogging, I used the webcam. And I think everybody did. Cash J Tuck was using her webcam. Then we roll on into 2012. And this is when like the community starts to take shape. This is when I find Jesse the Reader. And he's doing that like little intro, that like song thing that used to be at the front of his videos. I can't pull up the song in my brain anymore. Can either of you?
No, I don't remember any song.
Yeah.
You don't remember the intro? It was like a little cartoon. It was like Jesse the Reader.
No.
God. Oh my God, the song got so annoying. Oh my God. He was vlogging every day when I think I found him.
Every day?
Yeah, he was posting a video
I
every
think
day.
by the time I found him, he'd stopped using that because I don't remember
No,
that.
he used it till like 2014.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of like maybe ringing a bell. Don't remember the tune at all.
Yeah, okay. Everyone in the chat remembers. His cartoon intros were insane, lol. Yeah, I stumbled across him talking about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Yeah, during that time, we had Percy Jackson. That's when I was doing my, like, going through all of the Percy Jackson books. Tifios came out in 2012.
Oh.
Yeah.
And was
Mara
huge.
Dyer, Delirium, the Bloodline series by Rochelle Mead. Were you guys reading those as they came out? Kat was.
I read them when I was able to borrow the entire series from you when we were living together. So like 2014.
I was reading them, I think, the summer of 2013. So it took me a little while to get to, because like I was still in high school during this time. So like, and I categorize like 2009 through 2012, like the twilight time for me, because I like in 2012, that's when I was like, I was 18. I was going to like every kind of last event that I could for Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Right.
Yeah. Popularized videos in 2012. We started to get the tags and the TBRs and the book hauls and the
bookshelf
wrap-ups.
tours.
Oh yeah, bookshelf tours started to happen, and I was resisting so hard because I was like, I do sketches, comedy sketches, and I do book talks, TALK, but I will never do a book haul. Like that was my head. I was like, I will never succumb to what everyone else is doing because I'm going to be different.
I'm not like other booktubers.
I'm not like other booktubers. No, I didn't know any other book like that. The thing is, we were just starting to know everybody, and I was like, why is everybody doing these things? Tags, though, were like everyone was doing tags like in bigger communities too.
Oh.
That was when we still had the video response, so you could actually.
Oh.
I miss video responses.
Me too.
They're so fun.
Kat, was your like book collection really big at that point?
Yes, I mean, it's hard to judge it now because it's only grown exponentially since then. I had been collecting books for at least like 5 years before I even started my channel. So like I already had a pretty decently sized library that's only gotten to be like obscenely sized in the years past.
Couldn't have a library because I didn't have a place to store my books. So I just had piles on the closet.
Yeah,
and like
you had it in your closet. Like,
well, when my mom moved, in my closet there was a built-in bookshelf, and I was finally like, I can get more books because I have a bookshelf. I can put the books on a shelf. This is amazing.
Did you not have a bookshelf at all growing up?
No, I had like these two when I was little, like these two shelves, and I had some books on them, but my mom also had all of my like trophies and like doodads, so they weren't bookshelves, and there were only two. And it was like over a desk.
I had like two big cases. I originally had the bookshelves to display my Barbies, and then those went bye-bye, and then the books went in their place.
When I still lived at home, I had just one little shelf. It was like one of these like smaller, like 3 shelf high bookcases that was full of books. And then when I moved out, that's when I started buying the taller bookshelves. And I was like, now I have room. Like,
now I could just make the walls full of books.
Now my walls can be books.
All right. So moving into 2013, we all know that there's like now a book community online and we're all commenting on each other's stuff. I think I made videos about VidCon and talked about VidCon a lot, but like I didn't know like any from the book community that was going. And 2013 is when like book people started to come. 2013 is when like Throne of Glass started getting more of hype on Booktube, and Allegiant came out, and that was a very big Booktube time. House of Hades, City of Heavenly Fire.
Well, I feel like what also really contributed to this was the book to movie adaptations that we started getting at this time. Tifios and Divergent and The Hunger Games, like all those huge movies that made the book fandoms blow up.
Yeah. Well, those happened like Tifios happened in like 2014, I think. After
that feels right. Yeah.
Yeah, but 2013, I think we had
It was Hunger Games.
And the Mortal Instruments. I think
the movie,
maybe the movie.
Yes, because I met you in 2013, and I remembered that summer I was doing press for the Mortal Instruments.
Yeah.
Also, the host came out too.
The host came out. Yes. Yeah, I remember doing host trailer reactions and stuff. This is when also trailer reactions started being a bigger thing on Booktube. And 2013 is when Natasha launches her channel.
Yep. I launched in September 2013, so it's been 11 years. And like a lot of us are then like Reagan launched her channel and Sasha launched her channel, I think the spring before me, and she started blowing up because of the Mortal Instruments, because she looked so much like Lily,
like Clary. Yeah, so that is the first like time Booktube is present at VidCon. We met in person. Like that's when I met like Jessie the Reader and Kaz and a little book owl. Wait, no, is she a little book
Katrina.
Owl? Yeah. I was like, what was her name? And Ariel and Kathleen, who wasn't a booktuber, but she was a part of our crew every time at VidCon. And Maureen. Then I met Natasha. Is that when we had lunch?
That was when we had lunch at downtown.
Yeah.
For your birthday.
And 2013 was the first year of Booktubeathon, right? I think it was, because I think it's when I did my shitty Booktubeathon, and then for 2014 was like a good Booktubeathon. Yeah. This is when I went to BEA. So this was huge, I feel like, in terms of like starting the publishing company thing. But I went to BEA, and after reading In the Darkest Minds and doing that book talk, I was recognized by the marketing rep from Disney. And he was like, oh my God, you're that girl who did that video. And I was like, I am. And he was like, do you want an arc of Never Fade? And I was like, oh my God, yes, I do. This is amazing. And then he was like, would you want to make a video with Alex Bracken? And I was like, are you shitting me? And I was, living at my mom's house in New Jersey, and Alex at the time was living in New York. And Never Fade was coming out in the fall, I think. And so I read my first arc, Never Fade. I made my first BEA video being like, I got my first arc ever, Never Fade. And I did like the most detailed book talk of all time. So I made like a half an hour book talk, which was unheard of for me because at the time we were like 12 minutes. And then they had a driver bring Alex Bracken out to my house, and it was the day I hit 50,000 subscribers on Booktube, which was like that the biggest booktuber at the time was Cass J. Tuck, and she had 50,000 subscribers, and I passed her. That was like just a huge day for me because I was like, holy shit.
Cloud9.
Holy shit. And then Alex was there. We made 2 videos together. It was amazing. And it really opened up, I feel like, interviewing authors.
I feel like that was sort of a turning point of Booktube being like, this is a thing that can blow up. Like, this is a thing that can actually really grow and can have a huge impact, because we're seeing it in like real time. Like, your book talk for the first book, Darkest Minds, like brought that onto so many people's radar, because like, you know, they would come to your channel for like the existing fandom stuff, Shadowhunters, Hunger Games, whatever. And here was a brand new book that so many people hadn't read. And like, you brought so many new readers to that fandom, and the publishers started paying attention. And that, I feel like, is a huge turning point of like Booktube blowing up.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that connection led me to believe that I can talk to like other publishers.
Right. It legitimized Booktube.
Yeah. So like 2013, we had a lot of like the first tags going around. Do y'all remember any ones that stick out to you that you really enjoyed?
Was it like the one where we were like trying to spell words with books?
Oh, I mean, that was definitely like later on, I think in 2014, but that was fun. I remember one in like the very kind of beginning of tags where we were doing like, how many books can you say in like a minute? Do you remember that?
Right.
Oh my God. That was so stressful, but also like we were all doing it. It wasn't much fun to watch. It was just us like being like, send you this, send you this, send you this, send you this.
I do remember that.
Yeah, there was definitely a point a few years later where tags were like at their peak and they were really creative and really fun. But like in the beginning, just
there was Confessions of a Booktuber tag that I just found, or like I'm scrolling through right now. My first book tour looks like it was in 2013.
I mean, see, all the ones that stand out the most to me are the ones that we did together.
Yeah, those were later on. Oh my God, Mary Kiss Cliffing was that year. B Room Cliffing? Wait, what the fuck? Was that like roommate?
Who you would want to be, who roommate. You would want to room with, and who you would push off a cliff.
Oh my God. All right, another huge thing that happened, at least for me in 2013, was I started my merch shop. I did that Book Lion video, and everyone was like, you should put this on a t-shirt. And I was like, should I put it on a t-shirt? And I started my LLC and invested money into getting merch and started my own merch shop. And my dad was kind of helping me set up the business end of it. But yeah, then I was selling merch out of my basement and launching like Book Lion shirts and Mundane Fools shirts. And this really like let me think that soon that I could afford to like do this outside of my home eventually. But yeah, it was after I hit 50,000 subscribers. It was a big change in like my day to day because I was sending out shirts every week.
I remember just being like a consumer and watcher of BookTube for a while, like the urge to want to purchase books and like finding out about like the book outlet and like thrift books and things like that, where I could get my hands on multiple books that I could like. I remember like my first goal when I started my channel was to do a book haul like that felt like something that I needed to do. I like being so excited when I could get like I had like, you know, an extra $50 to get like a few books from the book outlet or half price books, and like finding all those like little bookstores where I didn't have to pay like full price for novels.
Yeah. It was at the end of 2013 that we started, we formed Booksplosion and we started planning. Right. And when I pitched Booksplosion to Penguin Books at their like headquarters in New York, and then we were talking about how what we could do for these publishers is pitch like a series of videos for a book of the month and all that stuff. And in that series of videos was a book haul, and you guys were like, you have to do a book haul, Christine. And I was like, I can't get that many books at once. I'll never be able to finish them. And I was like, but I guess for the good of the Booksplosion brand, I have to do a book haul and just see how it goes, because we were going to show them the numbers on all of our book hauls. I remember I was in New York City with, the twins. like Jeremy and Jeffrey West, and I got 5 books. It was the most books I've ever bought at once in my life. And I had my bookshelf, so I was like, at least I could like put a bookshelf behind me. And I did my first book haul. It says 10 years ago on my YouTube, but you never know. Their math sometimes is wrong.
It's funny because, Christine, you became one of the most popular book haulers. Like, your book hauls in particular became, like, hugely popular.
Well, I was trying really hard to make them different because I didn't watch book hauls because I was like, I don't care about books people bought.
Yeah, because they haven't read them yet, so like there's no opinion. At the time, I was so like infatuated with like, you know, it was a really fun energy. Everyone was like buying lots of books and excited about, you know, having a huge potential TBR and stuff. So like I bought into that as well. But in my later years, I much prefer things like Stories I Ate or wrap-ups where, you know, you actually get to hear like what the book is about. And I try to change my hauls to be more towards like, I'm hauling books, but I also read at least half of them. So I can at least give like thoughts on most of them.
I started to like get into it. Like once you start buying books, it starts becoming an addiction. So then I started to see like the draw of a book haul. Like it is for a book buying addict. That is what book hauls are for. So once I like bought into it, I started for the good of a business, and then I got obsessed and just would buy fucking books all the time because I'd be like, oh, well, it's part of my business.
Right?
Can write it off.
Like, whatever. It's for the better of my channel. I'm allowed to get all of these books because I had rules for myself. That's why I didn't want to do it too. I had rules like you have to read this book and this book before you buy more books. Like I did that. I used to not buy more books till I was done reading the books I bought.
I'm so far away from that now where it's like, please, I don't want any more books anymore. I only have an infinite amount of space. There's no room. No more. If I would do a haul nowadays, like it would make me physically sick.
Honestly, one of my comeback videos is going to be every book I bought in the last 2 years. Since like I haven't done a haul in 2 years, I haven't posted a video in 2 years. But there's only like 10 or 12 books because I've been like so insanely picky about buying books.
I'm scrolling through videos right now, and it at the end of 2013 is when we pitched Booktube at VidCon, when we did that video where we like Booktube should have a panel at VidCon. Yeah, that's on my channel.
And then they gave it to us to shut us up.
They didn't invite us. They just gave us
we weren't guests.
But that's also, there was Booktubeathon Christmas that year, it looks like.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh my God. And the Book Tower Challenge, which was huge. I think we had to like just keep piling books or make a book tower. And at the end of the year is when I did that Christmas book haul, which was like, I remember that's right after I went to Penguin, and they were like, take whatever books you want from this big shelf. And I was like, holy fuck, really? And they were like, yeah. I didn't even like realize I was about to give these books so much PR.
We had no idea back then.
Yeah, that's the first book haul I did like a little song in front of back in 2013. I remember singing Frozen or something about these books. Then we go into 2014.
This feels like more of my year because even though I started in 2013, like 2014 was like when I started really getting into it.
2014 is when we started like really
2014 is like, I think when we start like the golden years of like OG BookTube. It was like,
because it was fall of 2014 that we moved in together.
It was July 23rd. It was right after Booktubeathon, which it was like the most crazy Booktubeathon of our lives because we were like working with Ariel on it and we were each hosting a day. And I was up every night till 4 a.m. and it was the week before we moved to fucking to LA.
Right.
It was insane. But at the beginning of the year is when I went to visit Natasha just like for a week after like hanging out for like 30 minutes once. I
Life changing for me.
It was when our first collabs.
Yeah.
My first collab ever on in person.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh
That was
my God.
First collab ever in person. Then Kat was the second when we went to Chicago.
When we did Divergent.
Yeah.
The
We
blinded.
invented the blindfolded book challenge, which was being blindfolded and handed books, and you had to guess what the book was based on feeling the cover.
I think the funniest thing is that a lot of us were quite good at
Yeah.
that.
I know.
It was like so randomly unexpected to be like blindfolded and handed a book, and you're like, oh yeah, I know
Yeah.
this is.
No, and like Natasha and I were just editing those videos together on her mom's bed, like cackling, laughing. Because I just remember there was this one shot. I had never used a tumbler before, which is one of those like
Cups.
water bottle cups, and Natasha had like a million of them. She's like, we always drink out of these cups. You have to drink out of one of these cups.
Not knowing your like water bottle obsession.
I wasn't as crazy back then about water bottles. And so whenever we were like, she was guessing the book with her blindfold, I was like going to get water and drinking out of these cups, but like not really paying attention to drinking. So a lot of times the straw would just be like rotating around and I'd just be like trying to get it with my mouth open. Like a dog or something chasing a treat but not paying attention. It was just kept showing me clips of me being like
No, it was
stupid.
hilarious. Well, it's so funny because like we filmed that day, edited that whole night, set our
Yeah.
computers out to export because it took like 12 hours back then, and then in the morning we would like, okay, gotta post it. Like we were
At
on
any
top.
time, as soon as it was done.
Yeah, doesn't
that was
doesn't
just
matter.
the way.
Yeah,
That was the way.
there were no algorithms back then.
Well, there was, but it was just different.
Yeah.
It was like more about clicking
Yeah.
on stuff than like time watched and all of that. It wasn't as complicated.
It felt like there was a lot less pressure for quality as well, because like so many people, especially we're at that transition where people
I was
started
like,
really upgrading
I had pressure
their
about
equipment.
quality, but
Yeah,
it was more about, there was no pressure about what time to post. I would post in the middle of the night. We
Right.
talked about this. Like, I would post at 3
Yeah.
a.m. and be like, woo! Done! See you in the morning!
It was like our favorite thing to go to bed with a new video and wake up to like hundreds of
Comments.
comments.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had the stamina as youths to just work into the night forever and then never have to really sleep. You just wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I thought I could do going into moving to LA. And that's when I got really sick for months on end because I gave myself all these fucking issues from like being so stressed and never sleeping.
Wow,
as
that makes so much sense now since I finally figured out that's what I did to myself too.
Yeah. No. And I was sick for ages and it was terrible. But Booktubeathon, I think, was peak 2014, 2015. And then 2014 in February is when we launched Booksplosion, like publicly. And by May, we
Right.
were booked for our first book of the month, sponsored by Penguin, which was Rebel Bell. And then we were booked for like the rest of the year.
And let's all remember that
Wild.
Christine did go into like Penguin's offices, Random House's offices,
yeah.
and like pitched
Yeah.
to be able for all of us to start getting paid by the publishers to promote their books. It was
My
her.
PowerPoints.
It's because publishing was still so old school.
It still
like
is.
there were. It still is to a strong degree, but like at this point, even from like the aspiring author perspective, a lot of agents didn't even accept email queries. Like you had to like print out and mail them your
wild.
query letter. So like a lot of them are like so old school that they're like, what's this newfangled YouTube thing? And like, why should we spend money on YouTubers? And Christine gave him a PowerPoint presentation, was like, this is why.
I had like screenshots of like hundreds of comments and like all different videos.
and impressions, all the views.
I had like
yeah.
examples from other YouTubers being sponsored and how successful it was and like the Ford Fiesta movement.
I mean, honestly, part of that, like, that's part of the reason why TikTok had an easier
Oh,
time
yeah, they already
because
knew.
like there was already a precedent
We already broke
of
through those barriers.
online influencers.
Yeah. But like there were people we would send emails to asking for like what now is like bare minimum payment.
Mm-hmm.
And they would be like, how dare you ask for payment for a video where you talk about this book for 2 to 3 minutes? Like it was like dickish. Like it happened a couple different times and it was
quite a few
rude.
of them were so like rudely dismissive, but quite a few of them were also
Open.
really open
I mean,
to
of course,
it.
or else we wouldn't have had our career at Booktube.
Right.
Like in person, they would kind of make us feel like it wasn't that big of a deal so that we wouldn't, like our prices never went past a certain point. You know what I mean? Like, and even at our like peak, we were
That's
getting
business.
paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we were so young.
It's the kind of like cunning business, ruthless business where it's like, we're going to give you the bare minimum because we can get away with
we
it.
were
kind
so
of thing.
young and there was no precedent. So, and now like for that much attention on something, it's like these companies would be paying so much more money. But it's just not that way.
We saw it when we compared it to what we knew of like the beauty and fashion industries and how much those influencers got paid.
Never
and
forget.
We were like, you got paid
$25,000
$20,000
to show a bracelet.
bracelet.
I'll never forget that.
I remember like going into my first job and being like the influencer marketing person and talking to these fashion people and being like, you 3 stories for $4,000? I was like, what?
Wild.
And booktubers were selling like our earlier prices were like $100 for an Instagram. kind of
Literally,
thing.
we were
Like,
posting an Instagram for $200 max. But like to a huge audience, which like now would be at least $1,000 at least. Anyway, okay, so popular books during this time, like the Cinder series was blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
Colleen Hoover was starting to really blow up in the book community. I think this is when Booksplosion went to book BEA and BookCon. There was the first BookCon.
the first
BookCon was
BookCon,
crazy.
right.
That's when we had like the Booktube meetup that we couldn't get to because it was like so chaotic and wild.
Right.
I think I remember like there was a group of us when you all were at BA and BookCon.
BA.
We all sat on a live for like 3 hours just being like, well, we wish we were there. Being, I think, kind of like in the community, but like still feeling on the out and definitely like not having the money to be able to travel. And I know so many,
because that was the thing that we had to pay our own way. Like it's we weren't like other influencers who got like flown out to places. Like we all had to like arrange and pay for ourselves to go, which limited who could go, obviously.
and like just that feeling of like wanting to be there because it just looks like so much fun to be with the whole community, the vlogs and the videos that came out of it. You just wanted to be a part of it and be there. I know like so many viewers also felt that way. Like they took them years to be able to get there and attend.
Do you guys remember the Tifios? This is when I got invited to like do that Tifios on the swings thing, and I like interviewed Ansel and Shailene on the swings, and I asked him if they did a Tifios too, if he'd come back as a ghost.
Oh my god.
But like I just remember that I was so mortified after that whole because it kind of blacked out, and the video is mostly me making fun of me doing it.
What was your first like video with like celebrities?
That was probably my first video with celebrities.
Or was it the Vampire Academy?
I mean, do we count that? Because we were like...
We talked to Holland.
I guess we talked to Holland. Yes. That's the first video with a celebrity. I mean, like, at the time, Alex Bracken felt like a celebrity. I did a Gail Foreman video around that time. The Just One Day, Just One Afternoon thing. Like, I was doing things, but yeah, I guess Holland was the first, like, oh my God.
Well, okay, and then you guys went to Divergent and you didn't get into the...
Yeah, we got like an invite to
go
see the movie.
Well, they said the
but
red
we didn't,
carpet.
we didn't know it was that. Yeah, they said you're invited to the red carpet. We of course had to pay our own flights and hotels.
Yeah. Well,
so
but what
Chicago.
Came out of this?
And then we didn't even get on the carpet. We got to see the movie.
But
we showed up and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have a movie ticket." So it was like the most expensive movie ticket we've ever paid
well,
for.
it was way before it came out too, though, which was really cool.
Yeah, no, it was a fun experience regardless.
We made the name your character video, which was iconic.
We got a phone call complaint. And like Divergent was a really good movie. So like we left it really hyped up and like we were excited that it was a good movie because, you know, adaptions at that point were like hit or miss. And this one was mostly
we sprinted home from the theater because we were so excited.
Yeah, because it was so cold. And then we started talking about, that's where we brainstormed the idea for the video that you ended up doing of like, what if we had gotten on the carpet, what it would be like. And it was like the interviewing them, and that's where the whole like he came back as a ghost thing started.
Who did I say it to on that one? It wasn't Ansel. It was like Theo or something.
It was like
someone
else.
Yeah. It was an Allegiant joke, I think.
Do you want to go into okay, so you guys you had the first Booktube panel at VidCon.
Yes.
Right. That was the first VidCon that I attended and that I met everyone.
Second. Is this? Oh yeah, this is the first one, 2014. Yeah. Yeah, this is the first one you were there.
And I did start daily vlogs, and I don't know if that was I knew like other creators outside of our community did it, but I feel like maybe I was the first one to do like the event daily vlogs.
I feel like for the daily vlogging, no one was. I don't think the Booktube was really doing it.
Yeah, I feel like we were filming clips
and editing.
And we would do like an event vlog at the end of it, but you were doing daily, and at some points you were trying to do them like as the day up.
They
like
were going
editing.
up.
Yeah.
I was staying up late, and then I would wake up, and then I would drive into VidCon.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
that was a lot.
Yep. And then you guys move in together at the end of this year.
Well, in July 23rd. It was the middle of the year.
Because we were doing apartment hunting.
Yeah,
do you remember
we got the apartment at VidCon?
Well, I remember like Christine looking for apartments for like the last 2 years. Like, Kat, why did you want to like move down to LA? What was the thing driving you?
Were you looking to like move out?
It was a combination of things.
You were with your ex?
Yeah, it was. Me and my ex had been living together, and the relationship had been one of those like long, slow burn breakups for like the last year or so. And part of it was that we were still on good terms and we were like comfortable where we were, but it got to the point where like Christine had been talking about moving to LA, and I was like, this is maybe an opportunity. So I like messaged her and I was like, hey, Christine, like, I know you're planning to move to LA. Like, do you have any interest at all in a roommate? And her initial response was like, oh yeah, are you and your boyfriend? Like,
did I say that?
Down? I'm like, yeah. Because I feel like you weren't trying to assume. So you were like, oh yeah, are you and your boyfriend like planning to move or something? And I was like, yeah, no, well, we broke up, so it would just be me.
I think I remember being on like a Skype or something with all of us. And then you saying like, well, maybe I'll move there. And then it was like more of an official thing later on.
Because I had it in my mind for a while. Like, you know, I getting a place by myself up here wasn't as appealing to me as moving to LA. So it was like the opportunity to like lit the fire under me to like finally put this like slow burn breakup relationship to rest.
At this time in 2014, Mockingjay was also coming out.
The movie.
And that I feel like we went to see. Did we see part one together?
I feel
we
like
watched a lot of movies together at the time.
We did. Yeah. The most movies I've ever watched in my life.
I remember seeing 50 Shades of Grey all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that all together.
I remember right after we moved to LA, I got invited to like a Giver screening, and Kat and I went to that.
I only vaguely remember.
We have a video. I'm scrolling through. This is when we started getting boxes from Big Honcho at the end of 2014. I think Big Honcho must have launched this year. I got those huge Percy Jackson boxes that were really nice. Remember, they used to send like those huge books and like cupcakes and like all sorts of shit in those unboxings.
I think 2014 was also like when Outlander launched.
Yes, it is.
And that was
that when we went to
huge.
Paley Fest the next year, 2015?
That was when I turned 21. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So Outlander was huge for me because I read it and I was like obsessed. And then also that was when the Pierce Brown saga started at the end of 2014.
Yeah, this is when I also finally, like this year, I got the publishing companies to start sponsoring like sketches this year. And I would include them in like the Booksplosion pitches.
We got to do a couple fun ones. Like the ones where we're fighting over Will Herondale. And
a classic, Book Revenge.
I love the sketches. I think those were my favorite videos because I just knew how much time and effort went into them. And you guys, I mean, Christine, you did so well on those. And those are the ones I was like always looking forward to watching.
Yeah, because they were so different. They're not like other Booktube videos, you know. They're different. And also the musical ones that we would do as well, like especially when we got to do the ones that were more of a big production, like the Booktube Sisters. And
La La Land.
The La La Land one was so much fun.
Yeah, that would start in 2015. 2015 was the first year, like, some booktubers were invited as guests to VidCon, so we had rooms.
I feel like it was like the first and only
No, 2017
year,
too. And 2016, I think Sasha was invited. So, like, we had, like, 3-4 years, and that was it. I think it was 3 years.
Right.
3 years booktubers got invited. But that was peak booktube, like 2015, 2016, 2017.
I think my first BEA might have been 2015 or 2016. I can't remember.
Chicago.
2015 was Chicago.
You were there in Chicago.
Okay.
2016 was Chicago. 2016 was Chicago.
Okay, so I didn't. It took me 2 years, and then I finally got to go in 2016.
And you and Sasha did that signing with JD.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had that big Booksplosion panel. It was a big BEA.
It was a big BEA. That was like the first time I think I had ever experienced something where a room full of people knew who I was, but I didn't know who they were. And I had never experienced that before in my life.
2015. That's when the Gender Bent Twilight dropped. That was a huge. Huge.
That was a
book
huge book
moment.
day because there were
Carry On.
a Gender Bet Twilight, Carry On, a new Percy Jackson book, and then there was a couple other. I just remember it was a huge day for books.
2015.
And I had to read Carry On like the day.
Oh, you read it like in the car in New York City, I feel like.
Yeah, I read it that weekend at
Comic-Con.
New York Comic Con.
But that's also the year that you and Sasha went to Forks. Yes.
Was it?
Did you get
Yes, and we announced the 10 year.
What was it called? Why am I blanking on the name of Gender Bent Twilight?
Life and Death?
Okay. What do you remember from your trip to Forks? Because I feel like we didn't hear much about it. Did you guys get to talk to Stephanie?
We did.
Did you guys
She
make
was
videos?
there. We made a couple. I feel like Sasha and I weren't good choices for it because like Sasha wasn't super familiar with the
She
fandom.
never
Like
read it.
she wasn't into it. Yeah.
We remember.
While I was in the fandom, they didn't frame it as we were announcing this very important book.
Yeah.
You know, it was very low. It was a very low key event because the Twilight fandom had like generally died down. And it was the next year when you guys went that it was like more of a bigger production. But this year it was like very low key. I didn't like really know what to expect and I wasn't like immersed in the fandom. So it was chill and fun. And they're like, we want you to announce like the 10th anniversary edition. And so we did that, but we didn't know the 10th anniversary edition was special. Like we thought it was just like a movie tie-in kind of thing. Or like you can get the 10th
it was even the
anniversary
10th
edition
anniversary
on this
edition.
day.
It was.
Yeah. And so, like, we didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know until Christine was, like, banging on my bedroom door, yelling, like, Kat, did you know about this? And I was like, no, what?
Natasha and I were like all all caps texting back and forth frantically.
Freaking out.
Oh my God. Because I think you were like talking to like Nikki and
Becca.
Becca about it.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I had known that it was like some kind of like special thing about the book and the release, I would have framed all my content very differently. Because I framed it as more of like like a reminiscing, like, oh yeah, 10 years retrospect, not like a second.
The second coming of Twilight.
Yeah, you know, I would have framed everything much differently.
2015 was the Bad Blood video.
Oh yeah.
2015 was the 1989 tour that I didn't get to go to. Natasha went to. It was also the first Y'all West ever in Santa Monica, and we were all there. It was so chill, and I think we did a lot of promo for it because we got to have a Book Explosion meetup there, and I think that was the first time we had something that was called like the Book Explosion meetup,
Right?
and it was just really cool to have like a room for everyone to be in with microphones that was Book Explosion themed. It was just wild. I just remember seeing that sign that said like Book Explosion in this room, and I was like, holy shit, what? Crazy. We're official.
2016?
2016.
The thing is, all these years blur together for me.
And like they blur together too. I definitely have the like trips that signify each year for me.
Yeah.
I mean, 2016 is when like I think unhauls started to come into the picture because we were all hauling so many books.
I realized
Right.
maybe this isn't a good idea.
I think it was peak for like publishers being open to like doing author interviews with all of like the booktubers that came to BEA, because I remember they had a whole section for everyone to like schedule interviews with authors in that little red roped off section of BEA in Chicago. Do you guys remember that?
Right.
That's where a bunch of us did interviews with Cassie, or was that a different, I think that actually was a different BEA, but we did do that at like BEA 2017 or something, interviews with Cassie about, I think, the second Dark Artifices book. But they were really embracing BookTube.
yeah, no.
Like this was the age where publishing was like, oh, BookTube's good for us.
Yeah.
Right. They finally realized
like
it.
that we should embrace them. They were sending, I think this was the age of unboxings. Like there were so many unboxings happening in 2016.
Yeah. That's why I started my unboxings.
Yeah, and Natasha was doing them for like makeup stuff too. Like you were
like
doing
fandom boxes. Oh, I got a
right?
big deal with Crate Joy, and they were paying me monthly to do like these big unboxings, and that was like my first like really big like deal that I ever got.
No, that was cool, and unboxings were huge. Like,
It was also so many of us booktubers were really excited about it because it felt like more recognition from the publishing industry. It felt like, you know, they're putting together these really cool like influencer boxes that have like free book swag and that also can be composed to make like a good picture for Instagram. So like we were finally like really working together. There was like synergy there.
I forgot to mention that We Were Liars was one of our first Book Explosion books back in 2014, and it was huge in 2014. Like it died off, obviously. It's been 10 years, but it had like such a renaissance in 2020. All of a sudden, people discovered We Were Liars again, and it became a book talk book. 2016, one of our books of the month was They Both Die at the End.
Oh my gosh.
By Adam Silvera.
We were ahead of
Always.
the trend.
I mean, and also it was huge on BookTube. Like everyone loved when both die at the end, but it just had a second renaissance on BookTube, on Book Talk once Book Talk started.
Right.
I mean, same with Sarah J. Maas too. Like this
Yeah.
was like peak her time.
Yep. And we were all making videos about Sarah J. Maas's books. And The Cursed Child came out in 2016, which was like in the community. We were all very excited.
Right.
And Hamilton.
The year of fucking Hamilton. This is the BookTube Sisters music video that we did, which was like a bookish version of the Schuyler Sisters song. And this is the Shadowhunters year, the TV show.
Yeah.
Shadowhunter. I was making a video every single week in addition to the video that I was making about Shadowhunters. Like that kind of boggles my mind. And I remember thinking that like they were only getting 30,000 views. And I remember like when someone talked about the videos and I was like, yeah, but 30,000 is good for like an episodic TV show that people have to watch every week. Like the numbers are insane to me.
Right.
You mean like compared to now on YouTube?
Well, compared to now on YouTube, but in general, like that's amazing. Like, imagine if our podcast was getting 30,000 views every week.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. And I was like comparing it to like other videos where they were like maybe getting like 40K, 50K. And like, I remember feeling like I had to defend that this was something that people had to watch every week to get. So that's why it was still good,
Right.
but it was still, it was huge. Like, 2016 was a huge year in general. Like,
Yeah.
and Natasha and I went to Twilight Forks, went to Forks for the Twilight Forever Forks Festival. Sasha and Lindsay released the first section
Yeah.
of the Andromeda cycle
Right.
on ebook in like November. In January, I started making my book videos. Like, this is when I started writing Again But Better in that January. And I was making writing videos every week. Like, and then I think a lot of Booktube started to kind of shift into writing videos too at that time. Kat was always making writing videos. I think
Right.
though, like Zoe was writing and Jesse did some writing videos. Like, everyone was kind of dabbling in that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2017, we had the first Booktube book, Sasha's book, Sasha and Lindsay released.
Right.
Oh my God.
No, wasn't it 20? It was 2018.
Was it?
Yeah, I looked it up last night. Zenith is published
Okay.
July 31st, 2018.
Okay, 2017, we were ramping up to it.
But 2017 they had the
Yeah,
book
yeah.
deal and they
Yeah,
were writing it and
Yeah.
talking about it, hyping it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
announced it and all that, so it got big.
Videos started to shift around this time from book reviews to like the wrap up videos and like book recommendation videos instead of single
Right.
reviews. Like, I was still doing book talks, but like I remember I couldn't just do those back to back. I had to be really strategic about how I released them, because if you had one video do not as well, it's okay. But if you had two in a row, they started to like
Yeah.
make it so your
algorithm
videos
started to
aren't
really
seen.
come down
Yeah.
on you. This is also the point of time where Booktube had gotten so large that it didn't feel like one niche community anymore. It was like different bubbles of communities.
Yeah.
Within like the overall arcing of Booktube, there were like all different groups and different little mini communities. And before that, it was such a small, like in 2015, 2014, it was so
We
small.
knew
like,
everybody.
you knew everyone in the community.
It's wild to think that like
Yeah.
we really did like know everyone that was kind of in the Booktube bubble
Yeah.
in 2014. Like, we knew of them if we didn't know them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it exploded. It was the fastest growing community on YouTube in 2014.
Oh.
Like, yeah,
Right.
Kat and I went to the YouTube space to get like our YouTube space certified. We had
Yeah.
to do like a little course there.
Right.
So did
And
I.
they told us that
And they told
it
us
was
that we
the
were
fastest
the
growing
fastest
community on YouTube, which is insane.
It's a crazy stat. I had never known that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
and I remember a couple other people telling me the same thing.
Also, at this time, a lot of our viewers who might have been born in 1999 or 2000, who were like watching us, like they were like, in 2012, they were 12 years old and they were 13, or like when people say they were watching us at 10 years old, like they were starting to get, 17, 18, 19 years old at this point. And that's kind of like when we saw that shift, because, they were getting more. They were going off to college and things like that.
They were
and
doing
their
different
lives
things
were
and
changing.
falling off from the internet. And that's when we had to really like shift our content too. So like that's when I started doing like those stories I ate instead of like book talking every book. I think at the end of 2016 I started doing those, or beginning of 2017. And this is when the 24-hour reading vlogs started to go.
Yeah.
Right. That's when that took off.
Shots goes, is that the Booktube drama era? LOL. Some groups of Booktube seem to always have beef.
So I kind of stay out of that. So like
We definitely had to stay out of it. It was just
because a lot of it had to do with like I feel like we would get pulled, our names would get pulled in there.
well, because we were all friends.
Yeah, and there's the whole thing. There's also the whole thing of like a perceived punching down, like because a lot of us had more subscribers, it was a bad look if we got into beef with someone who had fewer subscribers, which is a very
We would
interesting
never get
concept
into
of like,
beef. Like I
Yeah, no, we tended to avoid that and to just like not get involved, even when people were like pulling our names into it.
It was such a safe space until then. Like, it didn't get dramatic and mean in my like where in the cone that I could see until people started like shitting all over Sasha.
Right.
And then like it really opened up the doors for people to be openly mean to other people in this community. And what they didn't realize, because a lot of people are very young, is that this is a small community and that like we could easily be at the next event hanging out and you're just like bashing your peers.
Yeah, that was the thing that really got me is someone who was like kind of like disparaging like the bigger booktubers in general. And under the impression that like none of us would ever see the video,
that big.
But it's like
we weren't that big.
Like we're not that big, and like I've been following you since you made NaNoWriMo videos 4 years ago. So like I don't know what you're thinking that I'm not going to see you talking shit about me online.
Yeah, it was such a small community that like it was blown out of proportion how many subscribers we even had. Like we were like 200K, 300K, like in YouTube.
And the thing is, that's not the community.
What?
And even that's not even the community, because a lot of them were just casual viewers who like only cared about like big videos or like certain videos. They weren't the ones who were like watching Natasha's daily vlogs at events. Like that's more of like a community thing than everyone who clicks on a book haul.
And then like 2018 was kind of like, I was ramping up to my book in this year. This was Zenith was published. Yeah. Was it really July? That's so wild to me. I pictured in March. Maybe that's because it's Sasha's birthday. 2018 is when that New York Times writer approached me to do an article about Booktube. I did like a pre-interview with her, and then she did an interview with all of the booktubers that were at VidCon that year, and they had a photographer there taking pictures.
It was at BookCon.
It was BookCon.
No, that they used that picture. I told them about that picture, but they had a photographer at VidCon that took pictures of me and Jesse, and had talked to us separately at lunch. The writer talked to us, like had us at lunch and talked to us. I think they talked to Ariel separately at a different time too. There's some quotes from her in there. Yeah, that was a wild article in the New York Times about Booktube. It's on my wall. It came out like August 8th or August 6th, and it was like Booktube's making, or like YouTube stars making viewers into readers.
I feel like if that article had come out like 1 or 2 years even earlier, like it would have been like a much more, capitalizing on this movement and growth. Because like by the time it came out, I feel like our expansion we were no longer the fastest growing
community, but it was still like a vibrant community. Like we were there.
No, for sure.
Yeah. And it was like leading up to the release of Again But Better. Like she mentioned that I had a book coming out in the spring, and it was just like, and like my Darkest Minds video was like the sample video on the website, like the sponsored one where I like talked about the Darkest Minds in like 3 minutes or something with John. But yeah, and then 2019 is the year that I felt like I had to really start being so strategic about my posting and stuff, and what like bringing new people to the channel. How are you guys feeling in 2019?
That's when it became a challenge.
This is the year I gave up. I got a job and I was like, I'm kind of done.
I mean, same though.
I never gave up. I mean, like 2019 is when I did like shit Booktube never says in 2019, and that's when I did my first reading vlog. But the day before I released I hate reading vlogs rant. Like, I remember having like strategy brainstorms.
Because the thing is, like, that was the time when YouTube really changed on us.
Yes, it did.
And
the algorithm changed.
It was like a forced evolution. It wasn't like the community naturally going in a different direction. It was all of a sudden the older established channels. We were losing some of our audience because they were just growing out of it.
And they weren't pushing it.
We were struggling. They weren't pushing it to new people. So it was a struggle.
Yeah, the algorithm started not pushing it to your subscribers. It
Yeah.
would push it to like
Right.
3% of your subscribers. And if they didn't click within the first half an hour, it wouldn't push to more. And so the video would die. It was so bonkers and bananas. It wasn't catering to the creators. It was solely catering to like the website in general, holding more people on whatever videos. Like it was no longer a site for us. It was.
Yeah. And it honestly, it not entirely directly, like I wouldn't pin it entirely on this, but it's what caused a lot of the death of a lot of channels. Just because it became so discouraging.
Yeah, that's exactly
that
what happened.
If you weren't willing to work your ass off the way we did in the very beginning, where it's like, who even were we when we could like film and edit a video and put it up all in one day? And like, yeah, we couldn't maintain that anymore. And the algorithm punished us for not being able to maintain that, not being able to do it that way.
Yeah. Well,
and it was that's why I stopped posting
it was also
videos,
like
is because it got so discouraging.
It was also like very clickbait focused at the time. Like you needed,
right,
because it was all about that first half an hour. You needed to beat the algorithms smothering. Like it would come down on you if in the first half an hour you didn't get enough people clicking who were getting it in their subscription boxes.
And what it did was it killed the book review. It killed the book talk type video.
Those were already dying.
Yeah, those were already dying.
Yeah.
But they were also so niche that like if someone hasn't read the book, they're not going to click on the video, especially not in the first half hour. Like those are channel building things that like the kind of videos that grow views over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And those kind of videos didn't work on YouTube anymore.
Do you
so it became very discouraging.
Do you remember how when you went to YouTube, it used to show your subscriptions at the top? Yeah. And they changed that so that you have to go to your subscriptions instead of having them on your homepage, which also was so detrimental to creators with a big subscriber base that was like around for a long time. Like it was a completely different way that you would go about getting your videos. And now it just shows you recommended based on whatever you watched last.
And you had to really be strategic about what time you posted too, because if the viewer went to the subscriptions and you had posted at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then all these other people that they subscribe to also posted at that time, you would just get bump. You just get bumped all the way down.
This is why it changed from, I used to love posting at like 1 in the morning or midnight, like whenever I finished up a video, because since it showed your subscription feed in order, and like a lot of people weren't posting at that time, like my video would be at the top of your subscription feed for like 5 hours. And it was like, it was a really early in the morning time, but like it was still there. It still got some visibility. And then they changed that to where you had to be posting while there's a large audience online watching.
Yeah,
which
that was
meant,
long
like,
gone by 2019
afternoon.
though. We were posted at like noon in 2017.
Yeah, we were.
2016.
I mean, to start with a little bit of strategy,
Yeah.
but like you didn't have to. They changed it so like you have to, because if you post at 1 in the morning, like no one's watching that video ever.
It just dies immediately because that first 30-minute window, not getting clicks.
Right, the first 30 minutes.
But yeah, and then like 2020, we saw the boom of book talk. So it really started this shift. Like on the internet, on Booktube, there started to be a shift where people wanted videos that were like, I read all the 10 smuttiest romance books I could find. This is what happened. Or like, I read the 5 books that everyone hates. This is how it went. Like, I'm not going to read 5 books for a video. It's going to take so long to film it. And then by the time you film it, it takes like, it's just those videos end up being really, really long too. Like, I mean, while you're writing, those are impossible. I feel like to read all the books and write that. That's when I was writing videos.
All your
mostly.
writing vlogs were fun.
Yeah.
I think like at this point we were really just vying for people's attention and like trying to come up with ideas to combat the new short form video. And everyone just was like, okay, well,
I didn't even know about the short form video in 2020. I was still like rocking my regular shit.
I was so into it because I was working in the space and I was like, I was diligently trying to find new creators in the fashion space and like literally on TikTok all the time, like trying to find people and then learning about book talk and all of that. But I don't think I started my TikTok until like I started in 2020. Yeah, this was like the big shift that happened.
It was the start of it, like, because I was still doing fine in the booktube world and like I did have like clickbaitier titles. I remember for my writing videos, I was like, I wrote the book at 80,000 words in 13 days or whatever, you know? Like I wrote a book during the quarantine and all that shit.
At that point, like, because like I had quit, Kat had quit at that time.
Essentially quit, yeah.
Did you feel like the community was kind of lost at that point? Or like, what were your thoughts there?
I mean, it was COVID and I had so much going on in my life because I just moved in with John and I was trying to write that book that it felt different because, and I didn't associate it with like Booktube not being a community anymore. It felt more like we're in COVID. No one's seeing each other in person. Right. All the conventions are canceled. Everything's different right now. It didn't feel like it was a permanent thing. And it ended up being a permanent thing. Like BookCon died because of COVID.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do a Booksplosion panel at that BookCon. We were doing like a promotion. They were going to have like different factions at that BookCon, and like they hired us to do like Instagrams about our different factions. Like they were kind of trying new shit, and it just died.
And because of how TikTok was on a rise by then, it felt very much like a shift. Like it was a shift from BookTube to TikTok. And like BookTube still exists, obviously.
Yeah. It's just different. But the community has fallen away.
Different.
Yeah,
because it's so big.
I feel like it's similar to like from book blogs to BookTube, from BookTube to Book Talk. Like it's an evolution.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like because it does still exist and there are still like thriving booktubers. I feel like in that sense it's different.
But are they only on BookTube?
Well, isn't Jack Edwards like a booktuber? He's huge, isn't he? Is that his name?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but he's also on TikTok.
And I know I've seen
Instagram
other booktubers that are like huge. Well, he has to do all of it. That's the thing. Like they have to adapt and start doing everything. But I think his YouTube videos are still doing really well, is what I mean.
Yeah. But
yeah, in 2020, I feel like I was still doing I writing videos. I was doing the books I ate, book shopping from home. Oh, tier ranking was huge at that time. Remember, the tier ranking videos? My folklore deep dive. I remember I got hired.
I feel like there are still booktubers that are like doing well in the current in the current state.
Still doing
like
great. Reagan's doing great.
Yeah. But I feel like they're more. It doesn't feel as much of a community.
Individuals. Yeah. It's not like we're collabing and doing shit together, which was like why the golden age was so fun and so heartwarming because we would see each other at the different events and make so much fun, so much content together. And it's just a different vibe.
It was, especially when we started like Booksplosion, because we were bringing individual audiences together and merging audiences.
Yeah. And it's so sweet.
There's a little bit of that happening on Book Talk. Like I definitely follow a group of girls who like all interact with each other, and it feels similar to like what we had. I can't think of her name right. Hannah Mayer.
She has a group. Yeah,
she's got a group of girls that like are all really close, and they all
they're all
really
writers
fun.
too, though, right?
Yeah, they all have written books. It's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's really nice, especially when you're writing books in a space where people are going to be like, "Are you even a writer? Because you make content." Literally, you can't be a writer without making content in this age.
Yeah, no. That's one thing that's changed completely, because before there was like such a stigma of like, oh no, you can't be an influencer and make content and write books. Yeah, you can't do two things. Everyone knows. And now it's like, if you want to, so many authors have always had to do their own promotion, and now it's just become like much more viable via things like TikTok.
Honestly, it's so confusing to me when there's an author that doesn't have socials that blows up from their first book. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I'm like, tell me your secret. What should we be doing?
Honestly.
Luck. That's what it is.
Like you know which author has my ideal social media profile and just like persona?
Olivia Blake?
No, I do like her quite a lot, and I think she's managing it well. But my ideal online persona for an author is what Suzanne Collins has going on.
She's nowhere. You don't even see her face.
Exactly.
But like the luck thing, like it's luck to an extent, but you also, there's some way that book got in people's hands. Like they had to get it in Barnes and Noble. They had to get it in places.
Old school marketing and publishing is still, it still has a foothold on the industry. Yeah.
It does, but it doesn't also, because now every individual Barnes and Nobles do their own like book buying, like it's not like the same things in every store anymore. It's more dictated by the booksellers at each individual store.
But with enough money and enough of a budget, they can get it in as many stores as possible.
I mean, I guess, is that luck also though, that they got that much of a budget from their first book without a following?
Yeah. It's certainly a part of it.
It's wild.
But you just need to convince all the out of touch publishing people that like this is the next big thing, and they'll make it the next big thing. Yeah, I mean, it still has to be good. Like it's a combination of luck.
It's a combo of different things, and I'm always amazed like when an author does that. But then sometimes you see the second book is not getting the same treatment, and then it doesn't get the same attention, so it's like not long term. It's so up and down and such a roller coaster.
I think a lot of like what changed that too is maybe like the fan fiction world and publishing fanfics, because you already have this built-in reader base, and then they're following the author in this journey into the publishing world.
Yeah. I mean, that's similar
like
to
Ali
like
Hazelwood.
Yeah, I mean, like Allie, like Olivia Blake too. I think. And
Julie Soto.
It seems like they don't have to post as much on socials because they already have
because they have an audience
that's looking for their name in
reading
books. Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're already known as a writer, so it's not like they're looking for them in other spots. All right. Well,
the last thing, I do see a lot, I think, of like a Booktube rebellion when let's just say like you search Booktube on YouTube. I see a lot of people being like, don't read these book talk books, read these books. And it's like, there's like, they definitely feel like they're better readers than like the book talkers nowadays.
The stupid caste system that people try to put into place, like book talk is one person who all reads the same thing. It's ridiculous.
There's a reason why books are popular, though.
Yeah, there's a reason. This is a whole separate conversation, but like there was a little, book talk, not book talk, a TikTok that I saw at one point that was like saying this very concisely in a great way, but like so many people think they're better writers than Stephanie Meyer or like Rebecca Yarros and stuff. Part of being a good writer is being accessible to other people, and part of being a good writer is having people read and finish your book. And so many people are reading and finishing their books. You're not a better writer.
Because the thing is, the people are confusing the better writer thing as writing and storytelling being like separate things. Whereas like someone might be like a pretty mediocre at like the actual writing, but they're a brilliant storyteller because they know like pacing and like the emotions and relationships and characters that are interesting. And like, it doesn't matter if the writing feels like mediocre or like basic or simple because there's so much other elements that are compelling that matters.
All of that comes together as a writer. Like if you're writing books, if you're an author, all of that is together. It's not separated because you can't, if your book's doing well, it's doing well because you're mastering all the things.
Okay. Do we feel like that we've kind of gone over everything?
I think we did a good a good 1.5 hour version of Booktube's history, like enough to get anyone who didn't know anything about Booktube kind of started on the origins of the book internet world.
I mean, and we had all of our fun too, just like outside of all these like little points and all the little like sleepovers and fun times. And of course, you guys got to see some of that in like the daily vlogs. But it was such a during the golden age of Booktube, we had a blast. It was the most fun.
Yeah. And like I've been getting, I think it's one person that's like keeps commenting on my shit, talking about how I'm not posting on my Booktube anymore and like they can't expect anything from me and like I never post. And like I don't think I've retired from doing bookish content because we do a podcast every fucking week where we talk about books. And it's like so annoying because we're also posting I'm posting and Natasha's posting on fucking Instagram and on TikTok and wherever else, like all over the internet. This is going on YouTube.
I think it's a misplaced comment. I think they just miss the Booktube community and it's changed. So that's what, when they say I miss your Booktube content, like I don't think they actually mean that because, you know, you're still posting content.
Yeah. If I posted a video on YouTube, though, it wouldn't do super well. It would do like probably 10,000 views and it would take me probably like 4 or 5 solid days.
Right. I think it's just people are missing the nostalgia factor. People are missing the Booktube golden days and they just associate you with that because, you know, that was the peak.
Yeah. And life changes. We got to move on. We have to evolve. And I've even tried to like go back to vlogging and it's not the same. Like Shots literally just said, favorite moment of the day with Natasha and her face. Hey, 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 hey.
Like, it's the favorite moment of the day. Yeah, it was like slower.
But yeah, it's like we can't always go back to it and we have to evolve and it's just like your career. Like you start as like an assistant man or like an assistant and then you move up the ranks. Like you can't really go back. You got to keep moving forward and you can go back and evolve and make new things. But like Christine's a New York Times bestselling author now. Like it's crazy how much people have evolved and like we all miss those days too. Yeah, it's hard.
It's also, the thing is, we also have to make money because we're adults. So if we're doing YouTube videos and that's not bringing in like enough views for us to make a living on that platform, then we have to put our efforts creatively in places where it's both fun and doing well enough to help us live.
Yep.
Right. And the thing is, we haven't talked as much about the state of Booktube over the last few years, but I feel like part of that is because we're in it, so we can't like analyze it as well as we've talked about like the other eras of Booktube. Like we're so much in it that like we can't see the big picture of like how this is going to fit in with the overall story of Booktube.
What do you mean?
Because so like we're in this era right now.
Is Booktube dying? Like, is Booktube dying,
I don't think it'll
or
ever
is Booktube just at a pause, or is Booktube about to have a comeback? Like, we can't tell. We're in the middle of it right now, so we can't tell.
well, we're not submerged in Booktube right now. We're all out of it.
Yeah,
so
well,
I feel like
yeah, true.
yeah, we're separate from it now. Like it's still going, and there are still huge creators over there. Like I'll stumble across like book videos with hundreds of thousands of views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Like it's still huge. It's just like different people watching it. I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
different like new audiences. And Book Talk, these people are also, I bet, on Book Talk making content all the time over there too, because you had to adapt and go there too. That's where people are.
Yeah.
But their long form is on YouTube.
Yeah. I think we just had, like, our community specifically, we had the opportunity to start when it was new and it was small. And so we knew everyone.
Yep.
And
everyone knew everyone, like, who was watching us, which was fun.
it was easy. It was an easy community to navigate because
I mean, it wasn't easy because we had to break all the boundaries, but like it was easy to be friends.
I meant like as a viewer.
Yeah.
Like as a viewer,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
an easy community to navigate because it was small.
We were
And-
interconnected.
and we were interconnected and having fun and like that was the golden age of YouTube as well. Like there was so many just lifestyle vloggers who also did the same thing, who were friends with each other.
There were a lot of different communities, like bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah.
That were, but like, I think that's when, like, when we were booming, the makeup community was getting so big that they couldn't all be friends. You know what I say? Like
Yeah.
every bubble, I think, goes through this arc, and we were like, our arc was growing, like from being small at that time, and the other arcs were like already past us, like bigger communities. Okay, let's end this with like, how do you think Booktube impacted your life journey? And like, what are you doing now that you don't think you would have, or how has it changed you as a human now in a way that you don't think would have happened if you didn't do it?
Kat, do you want to go?
Oh, it's
too
really
big of a
hard to
question.
say. I think it is. I feel like this is a whole nother podcast episode. I don't know. My thing has always been writing first. And you know, like I loved BookTube because I love books and storytelling, but that's always been kind of a side thing to me wanting to tell my own stories and wanting to be an author. So, I mean, honestly, I think BookTube kind of derailed my author career for a tougher period, but I don't think that was a bad thing. Because, you know, I got to make great friends and I got to take time to like really focus on my craft and like get better at writing and get better at analyzing stories and just getting more familiar with storytelling as a whole. So like, I think it was ultimately a good thing. And yeah, it's just, it affected my life so much, that it's hard to like pinpoint all the different ways. Because it's just been such a huge part of my life for 11, 12 years now that like, I can't, even though I haven't posted in the last few years, like YouTube still feels like very present in my life and my creative existence.
I mean, if I didn't have BookTube, I don't know what my career would look like because I started at 18. So it was like the first thing that I really did. And it's what propelled me to be able to have my first job and not like I didn't go to college. So, I mean, it was essential, I think, to my upbringing in my early 20s. And I brought me so many people into my life and my one best friend here, Miss Christine. And yeah, I mean, if I didn't have BookTube, I have no idea what career path I would have chosen.
No, I think it would have been a completely different life, like a alternate universe.
Yep.
And I don't think it would have been anywhere near as fun. I became like such a more confident person because of BookTube. I feel like I really found people who understand me and community in a way that I had never had it before. And that really changes you. It really makes you feel like you fit in the world and that you can be yourself without feeling like it's not accepted. And it sounds silly when it's something like as small as like, oh, I like to read and nobody else does, but that's huge when you're growing up. And reading is such a big, it's so easy to say it's just a book, but we all know it's not. We all know that like these books like shaped us into who we are. These characters were our friends when no one else was around. They got us through our hardest moments. And when Booktube brought me to all these people who had also gotten through their hardest moments with books and really understood the value and the magic of words and stories in ways that no one else in my life did. So I don't think I would be as confident of a person. I don't think I would be as comfortable with like being my weird fucking self as I am, like without having known that there were so many people behind me when I was being that person. You know, like people were like, oh, you're fucking crazy when they watch one video. But like when they watch more and they get to know you and they still like you, that gives you like the confidence to be like that in your everyday life. I was a very subdued version of myself around people, like before Booktube. Like I was quiet. I was afraid to put in my 2 cents. Like it has changed me entirely and also like brought me, you know, the ability to find like someone to be my agent when I like, because I knew I wanted to write. Like it brought me everything. So I am so thankful for Booktube. Yeah.
So thankful. And for everyone that it brought into my life.
Yeah. All right. We're going to wrap up this episode with a Marry, Kiss, Cliff.
Okay, it was my turn this week, and we have battle of the book types of videos. Okay, so we've got BEA vlogs. This can include daily vlogs or the wrap-ups, book hauls, or the music videos. So what are you going to marry? What are you going to kiss? What are you going to cliff?
I'm going to marry music videos. I'm going to kiss BEA vlogs. I'm going to cliff book hauls.
I'm going to marry BEA vlogs, kiss music videos, and cliff book hauls.
I think I'm going to do the same. Yeah. Gonna marry
Poor
the
book
vlog.
hauls.
Poor book hauls. Well, it's because the best parts about book hauls, you can sneak into other videos. So, like, it's fine. We don't need them.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, thank you so much for being here to celebrate 100 episodes, Kat.
100 episodes. Thank you, Kat.
Yeah, tell the people where they can find you on the internet when you do your comeback.
Sure. When I do my comeback, I'll be posting videos on youtube.com/Katytastic. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm sometimes there, even though it's become a hell site, at cat_tastic. And I have a TikTok that I don't use. It's Cat After Hours. But maybe I'll start using it.
I didn't
Who
even
knows?
know this.
We'll see.
Cat After Hours.
There's nothing on it.
Threads.
It's just an account.
You should get on Threads.
I should get on
because
Twitter's
Twitter's your main game.
Threads is better, and
Twitter is my main enemy now. Yeah, I should. I'll look in. Since I'm relaunching, I might as well look into new things.
All right. Well, links to Kat's socials will be in the show notes. We are gonna go. Natasha and I are off to go do our extra show after this. So at Fangirl Tea Time, if you want to listen to that, make sure you check out our Patreon. Our show is edited by Natasha Polis, Alex Polis, and Christine Riccio, and sometimes Ricky McBrayer. Our music is by Chloe Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska, and our socials are done by Chloe Laverson. So make sure you're following us at Those Forking Fangirls on Instagram. That's our most active place, and you can be a part of all the fun shit going on down there. And we're at Those Forking Fangirls on TikTok, and all those links are in the show notes. And remember, our merch is out.
our merch is out.
And available for purchase. We have a sweatshirt that says TFF in the way that Taylor Swift stuff says TTPD, and the second F is upside down because the show is unhinged. And the link to our website, thoseworkingfangirls.com, is in the show notes, but you can just go to thoseworkingfangirls.com and the store is there. And yeah, makes great Christmas gifts for all your friends who like the show or yourself. Treat yourself. All right. We post videos and new episodes every Friday. We will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.